In Latin America in 2023, the Mexican economy is the obvious champion. The nation's performance in 2023 has been surprising since it has consistently outperformed economists' predictions. Like a street food vendor, it may not look fancy, but it always delivers delicious results. However, there is no such thing called a perfect, shiny economy. Watch this video to learn what makes Mexico a winner and what they are hiding. Geography. Mexico is bordered to the west and south by the Pacific Ocean, to the east by the Gulf of Mexico and the Caribbean Sea, and to the southeast by Guatemala and Belize. It has a common boundary with the United States all through its entire northern reach. Among the largest and most active tectonic zones on Earth is where Mexico is situated. It is a portion of the Ring of Fire that encircles the Pacific, an area characterized by regular earthquakes and strong volcanism. The Mexican people live in an evolving and frequently unpredictable natural setting, like a game of cricket, full of unpredictable moments. Mexico is a country of contrasts, with vast deserts in the north, towering mountains and deep valleys in the middle, and rich rainforests in the east and south. Mexico is mostly made up of mountains. It is the result of 3 centuries of Spanish control, an extensive Native American past, and a border that is common with the richest nation in the entire globe, the United States. A large number of people in Mexico today identify as mestizos, or having mixed Native American and Spanish ancestry. Legendary artists have called Mexico home over the course of its history. Notable Native American artists produce jewelry, statues, and paintings, including the Maya. Remarkable painters and muralists are among the contemporary Mexican artists. Sports are very important to Mexicans. Contestants often risk their lives in dangerous activities like bullfighting and rodeo, which originated in Mexico. Such a masterpiece, like a chaotic canvas that manages to create a beautiful picture. Economy of Mexico. Between ups and downs. Mexico's market economy is still at its early stages, yet it's closely linked to the economy of the United States due to shared main marketplaces and sources of financing. Since the 1970s, the Mexican economy, which is among the most significant in Latin America, has expanded quickly. The nation's gross domestic product, GDP, per person is significantly lower than that of the United States. Nonetheless, about 2/3 of Mexico's GDP is made up of services, which include government, banking, trade, and transportation. Approximately 1/5 of the GDP is generated by manufacturing. Despite employing about 1/5 of all Mexican workers, the agriculture industry contributes very little to GDP. The United States, on the contrary, inject hundreds of millions of dollars into the country's economy every year. Mexico's economy was primarily defined by state-owned and mixed capital businesses in conjunction with a heavily controlled private sector during the majority of the 20th century. In addition to tightly regulating imports and foreign investment, the government forbade private investors from holding stakes in a number of industries, notably forestry, mining, insurance, and power generation. The government at the time was like a cowboy who was forced to work in a corporate world. State corporations with some degree of autonomy oversaw the banking system, regulated telecommunications, managed railroads and airplanes, produced and delivered energy, and oversaw the petroleum sector. Furthermore, a lot of products and services had their pricing set by the government. I mean, you are lucky enough that your life wasn't under the Mexican control. Nonetheless, the 1980s saw the start of a significant economic shift in the nation. In accordance with neoliberal economic philosophy, the government eliminated numerous barriers to imports, abolished state-owned businesses, and totally deregulated a number of industries. It partially privatized the energy, telecommunications, and transportation industries, encompassing airplanes, railroads, and ports. But in Mexico, the economic growth is like a Bollywood actor's career. It can rise to new heights, but it can also fade away in an instant. Similar to many Latin American nations, Mexico has gone through several phases of boom and bust economic periods. Yet, the country's diverse industrial and service sectors have contributed to the region's economic revival and expansion. Like a rollercoaster ride, you never know when it's going to go up or down, but you can be sure it will give you a thrilling experience. The early 1980s saw a global decline in gasoline prices, which in turn sparked an economic crisis that was made worse by elevated interest rates and inflation. The Mexican peso depreciated in 1994, precipitating an intense, although brief, recession in spite of a robust era of prosperity in the early 1990s. Individuals in the lower and middle classes experienced especially high levels of stress as unemployment and poverty rose and foreign money fled out of the country. At that time, the standard of living of the Mexican population was plummeting like the confidence of a comedian after a joke fails. But nothing is permanent. Here is the rise after the fall. By implementing a policy of fiscal austerity, cutting expenses, and agreeing to a contentious bailout supported by the United States, the government restored the economy. Neoliberal doctrines persisted to steer the nation under the direction of succeeding governments. The United States market's growing need for consumer products and petroleum, along with a surge in the price of oil worldwide, caused the economy to grow consistently at the start of the 21st century, despite concerns that manufacturing jobs were being transformed to East Asian companies. Manufacturing in Mexico. Mexico, an attractive location for manufacturers. Here's why. There are several factors why companies would be interested to grow in Mexico. Among these is its ideal location near the southern border of the United States, which provides easy communication with North America and the Atlantic and Pacific trading routes. Thanks to its advantageous location, Mexico can link companies to more than 1 billion customers and 60% of the global GDP. In addition, it is the second most populous nation in Latin America and the biggest Spanish-speaking nation worldwide. With thriving sectors in the retail sector, business services, and food and beverage, it is an appealing domestic market. It feels like we are describing a business paradise here. We're not done yet. Generous Mexico has more to offer. Also, Mexico has entered into 12 free trade agreements with 46 other nations, far more than any other country in the entire globe. The United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, USMCA, which provides clarity on tariffs and the capacity to transport products over the border swiftly and smoothly, was extended to Mexico in November 2018. Furthermore, Mexico boasts a high ease of doing business rating. No wonders why. It is now the second best business climate in Latin America, ranking 60th out of 190 nations. You should have seen that coming. The perfect business hub. Mexico serves as a global business base for businesses as well as those in the United States. In reality, this industry, which provides excellent, reasonably priced capabilities across several sectors, is primarily responsible for the nation's recent 3.9% growth in manufacturing activity. Businesses that produce in Mexico are free from paying some taxes, such as import fees and the value-added tax on raw commodities reaching this country thanks to the IMMEX program, which was launched in 2006. Mexico's manufacturing capabilities have changed significantly. Mexico now has a highly trained labor force and excellent skills, with a wealth of experience, particularly in the automobile industry. Although labor prices are low, many industries have lower labor costs per unit than China. The workforce is highly skilled and experienced, providing excellent production capabilities. At the same time, since land transportation makes it simple to reach North America, shipping problems and expenses are frequently resolved. Because supply chain flexibility lowers risks and shortens travel times, goods supplied from this location also benefit. So perfect, no? Hold on. Here is what they are hiding in their perfect, shiny economy. Mexican gangs are booming. The latest data from the National Survey of Victimization and Perception of Public Security indicates that in 2022, 27.4% of Mexican households stated that a minimum of one member had been a victim of crime. However, given that the cartel's influence currently stretches to the food industry, a far greater number of Mexicans have paid too much for avocados than would be the case in a market devoid of organized crime. And most likely, they didn't even realize they were doing it. Even chicken are unlucky in this country. A year ago, pictures of a deserted market in Chilpancingo, the state capital of Guerrero, went viral on social media. 8 people who sold and distributed chickens for human consumption are said to have died in just 1 week, based on numerous media sources. Another event that came to light was the murder of a chicken distribution businessman in front of customers and diners by a group of armed men. Over the next few weeks, poultry in the area started to become scarce. Local residents and fast food chains vanished along with markets and poultry stores. Mexicans must be craving fried chicken right now. What about fish fingers? Seems to be no luck.
Why?
Congress gathered a group of experts in March 2022 to examine the primary factors contributing to the growth of illicit fishing. The absence of monitoring was identified as the main cause, while arranged crime was identified as the secondary factor, both of which may be related. According to the meeting's report, The growing strength of organised crime that employs fishing as an escape route completely surpasses the ability and authority of civilian government institutions in the sector. Seems tacos are safe until now. Well, not really. Organised crime is also threatening and extorting the maize tortilla, the main ingredient in Mexican cuisine. There was an odd occurrence in Guerrero towards the end of 2021. A gang forced the owners of tortilla shops to cut their prices by posting posters in the businesses and demanding payment in exchange for letting them keep running. Scared tortilla. In light of this, there are several promising aspects of Mexico's macroeconomic forecast for both this year and the next. The nation is well positioned to maintain this trend, draw in investment, increase productivity, and create jobs and income in a sustainable manner. But the Mexican economy is like a game of snakes and ladders. You can climb up the ladder of success, but one wrong move and you're back to square one. Thanks for watching to the end. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons to receive more content. See you in the next video.